Welcome one and welcome all to the one and the only Junk Shop Library channel, this time with special guest who some of you may know as my wonderful wife, Julie. Julie, say hello to the people.
Hello, people.
Fair enough.
Sorry, did you want more? I could get more specific. Hello to Sam Nevermore, Math Pig, Seraph. I hope I said that right. Seraph, I think so.
And I think it's Surf, but I wouldn't swear
it might
to
be
it.
Surf. It might be Surf.
Hadn't seen you in a hot minute.
Hi.
Good to see you, my friend.
And various barnyard animal noises back at you, Math Pig. And yep, I think that's everyone thus far.
Everyone that has made themselves known in the chat thus far.
Yeah.
So
if you're lurking, hi.
If you're lurking, hi. Welcome. Glad you're here. Okay. Before we launch into anything else, as the at least technical host of this particular stream, because it's on my channel, it is incumbent upon me to say a couple of things. First and foremost, this stream in particular, among all the streams on this channel, is not for children. If you are children, or if you have children in the room, you need to, in the former case, leave, or in the latter case, put on some headphones.
Yes, please. Because there is adult activity on this channel. By that, I do not mean physical activity, but there are things like...
We mean the smoking and the drinking.
Yep, and also the language.
Perhaps even particularly the language, given the subject matter tonight. Which, if you click through to this stream, you likely already can guess at. If you're still here after all this time and the numerous rainbows, you probably have intuited certain positions. If not, I'm going to make these extravagantly clear here in just a moment.
So, alcohol use warning, tobacco warning, and we will say words like fuck. Everybody got their earbuds in?
And also, in all due fairness, there is about to be some frank and honest discussion of unpleasant religious and social themes and of religious trauma. If any or all of those are things you aren't at this moment in a safe place to discuss, the stream will still be here later, so will we.
Yeah.
And we won't be nothing incumbent upon you to watch this particular one, because this one's gonna be a little rough. Fair warning. Glad you like the bedtime story, even though it did suck.
And Surf is correct, which makes me I like to know how to pronounce things.
Yes.
I was a teacher for a long time. I know that seems weird. Don't worry. I mostly only taught adults. Every once in a while there'd be a 17-year-old who was like super smart and advanced and taking college level courses. But yeah, I did that for about 14 years. And I would always ask students, if I make sure I pronounce their name correctly. And also if they preferred, if it was like a Steven, I was like, do you prefer Steve or Steven? And they would so often say, I don't care, pick one. And I was like, no, it's your name. What do you want to be called? Own it. What do you want? This is who you are. And they would go, actually, I prefer Steven, or I prefer Steve. And I was like, okay, there you go. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I am here to tell you like homework and shit, and teach you things, but I'm not here to tell you like who to be. That's on you. All right. So, okay. So we've said that.
So
we've done the disclaimers.
We've sufficiently disclaimered, I think, between the description and the thumbnail and all of that rambling and ranting that we just went through. I think we've probably filtered out folks that don't actively want to be here.
Yeah.
If you do actively want to be here, welcome. Thank you for coming. So good to see you. Links in the description. You know where all of mine are. Julie's are in the description as well.
When I make content.
Oh, yeah, because I can throw all the stones inside my little glass house on that score.
I know you can't, but I have been particularly naughty. I have had y'all know that we started all of this business back in 2020 at the start of the pandemic, as a way to sort of cope with both of us being laid off and under a lot of stress. And we found this wonderful atheist YouTube community, and we were like, oh my God, there are atheists all over the world, because we live in kind of a very Christian bubble in the southern United States in Western Tennessee, right?
Mhm.
That's enough. And it's a lot, and it's a lot to deal with. And so hands up if you have obligatory family shit going on this weekend. And we froze, because 2,000 years ago a heretical Jewish rabbi may or may not have been horrifically and barbarically executed. Just wondering. Epileptic skeptic, it's been a minute.
Have not seen you in a hot minute, my friend. Welcome.
Oh, I really hate that.
So
I'm
good
all
to
blurry.
see you. I hate that we're frozen right now,
Yeah.
but
I tried the hand trick. It did not work.
I saw how the last stream went while I tried to troubleshoot live on air, but I also was alone in the room at that time. So at this point, I'm going to hand over real quick to my wonderful lady and her mellifluous voice while I play with technology.
Mellifluous. Well, you had me at mellifluous. I mean, that's a beautiful word. Thank you.
All right.
That's very kind, because this voice was basically made from screaming. I love that face. Don't get out of that face.
Yeah.
Whiskey and cigarettes. That is where this voice comes from. And like 12 years of choir and shit. Oh no, epileptic skeptic. Don't be sorry. Sorry. It's we haven't produced a lot of content. We haven't made a lot of streams in the last, I don't even know how long, because we both finally got jobs, which was great for us, but they're also really hard and take a lot of time. And it has been difficult to find a healthy balance. Oh man.
Oh crap, I killed it.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. But yeah, no, yeah, thank you, epileptic skeptic, because I was not calling you out. It's nice to see you. That's all. That's all I meant. Yeah, so there's that. So anybody else got obligatory weird ass zombie Jesus shit going on tomorrow or Sunday that they don't want to deal with? Okay, so Surf says, luckily most of my family doesn't actively celebrate, though I have read my mom complaining, quote, Easter isn't about the bunny. LOL. Fair. Yeah. You know, I mean, if you're, and that actually is a fair point. The bunny bits date back to old fertility festivals and various
We may not be back. We're back.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, sir.
Get you some tea.
Yeah, go ahead. Because
oh dear.
Hang on, 1 second. 1 second. My bad. That's my fault.
Technology in the library. Y'all know how it is. Okay. Everybody here already knows. It's okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's watching this shit on replay anyway. They're all stuck with their families this weekend like we are.
Oh, God.
Okay. So, that aside. So, let me set for you the stage. So, today's Good Friday.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why that's good, given the
traditionally observed date on which Jesus the Messiah died about, I don't know what, 5 hours ago, something like that, 5 hours and 12 minutes, Central Daylight Time.
A couple of millennia.
And that, of course, is upheld by the scientific rigor of the fact that it's the Friday before Easter, which is, as we all know, invariably celebrated on exactly the same day each year, at least outside the Orthodox Church. That day, naturally, being the first Sunday after the first full moon, after the vernal equinox.
Yep. Hey, Mr. Shadow Kitty. And that's how they do it.
So
it's one of the few. I do want to really quickly just interject. This is one of the few Christian holidays that still adheres to a lunar calendar, which goes back to the earliest days of Christianity, when Christianity was actually a heretical sect of Judaism. And so that's why, like, if you've ever noticed on your calendars every year, Hanukkah begins at sundown on whatever day, but it's a different, it's within this roughly the same time frame, but it's a different day each year. That's because they use a lunar calendar for Passover and Hanukkah and all of their holidays. So yeah, if you were wondering, you probably knew that, but there you go.
Holy crap. Hey, Beck, good to see you, man.
Beck! Oh my God. We love you too. We love everybody in the chat right now, but yeah, hey, Beck. Oh, big hugs, my man.
All right. So the reason we're having this stream today, other than that it's kind of incumbent upon me as such a cranky atheist PK to do something on Easter weekend that's at least a little bit blasphemous. I was watching...
I mean,
fair enough.
We have to take notice. Yeah. Yeah. The torture porn movie is on all the time if you want to watch it right now. Okay, please continue.
As
I myself do not.
As awkward a segue as that was, it was actually the perfect one.
Oh,
because
we work so well together.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Because what inspired this particular stream was the fact that I had extremely high anxiety last night. So as a result, I did what any good manic depressive atheist horror junkie does. I turned on Shudder and went to my list.
Respect.
And naturally, I picked the thing that I had been most wanting to watch for longest.
Helen Mayo, torture porn. Hey, Angie Dell.
The original,
it really is,
French version of the notorious horror classic of modern times, the movement that a lot of us call the New French Terror movement, which really broke large in American cinemas with High Tension. But part of that vanguard was the underground classic Martyrs.
Oh, okay. See, High Tension was the one that popped into my mind.
It's the one that pops into most people's minds.
Yeah, but it's good, but it's fucked up.
It's the one that most mainstream American audiences could be expected reasonably to stand.
Yeah, and also if you're not into horror movies, like don't watch this movie. It's rough. It's really rough. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to put it out there. Please continue.
Whether you have or have not seen all 4 distinct cuts of High Tension multiple times a piece, like nobody in this room,
No.
I can personally, and I stake my horror movie junkie reputation on this next statement, I can personally guarantee you the original version of Martyrs is immeasurably more unpleasant.
Oh, quick question. Is this the one where you said, "Hey, I'm going to watch a thing. I don't think you'd like it."
No,
and I said,
this is
"That's
something...
fine. I'll go watch Critical Role."
No.
No?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My bad.
Martyrs is a beautiful film, spectacularly well crafted, excruciating to watch, hard to endure, including imagery that will stick in your soul no matter how withered.
I think this might fall under the classification I just described anyway, given that description. Please continue.
As I said, the inspiration for a stream talking about Christian guilt complex, the sacrificial season, and torture porn was the fact that I spent the better part of 2 hours and change last night watching honest to God, legitimate, hardcore, modern torture porn out of France, no less. Martyrs is a wildly unpleasant little film with an amazing ending. I cannot in good conscience recommend it to anyone, except to say that if you're willing to dare yourself to watch it, given everything I just said about it, you will appreciate the ending.
D'accord. Je suis sauvé.
Not you.
No. No.
I know you well enough. You don't want this shit in your brain.
No.
I don't hardly want this shit in my brain, but it was worth the slog to me given the ending.
And if any of you speak French, you actually know how bad that French just was. So sorry about that. But yes, please.
So.
Yeah, no thank you.
That labored introduction aside, I do sometimes wonder if my personal A, affection for, and B, tolerance of some fairly extravagantly unpleasant corners of the horror section of both literature and film would exist were it not for the fact that I was literally raised on torture porn from the cradle.
Oh, I get it now. We don't rehearse, by the way, so I had no idea this is where this was going, but this makes sense.
One of my father's favorite stories about me as a very, very small child.
I'm listening to you. I'm just going to pull this up.
Pretty much, yeah. One of my father's favorite stories, which he has recounted countless times over the decades, of me as a very small child.
Oh, dear.
Was coming across me thumbing through an illustrated family Bible.
Woof.
I was somewhere in the range of 3 years old at the time.
Could you read
There,
that? I forget.
yes.
Yeah,
There,
they could read then. I know that's unusual. I wanted to point that out because it adds to the horror of the anecdote because they could actually read the words in the illustrated stuff. Okay, please continue.
but whether or not at the time of this particular story's occurrence I could read is entirely beside the point, because it was a illustrated Bible and an old school one. The story my dad loves to tell is the one where his 3-year-old kid was sitting on the floor with this massive tome, staring at a beautifully and very lifelikedly rendered portrait of a man in early middle age, battered, broken, bleeding from every conceivable inch of his body, including his face, nailed to a cross, and said 3-year-old gently reached out and stroked the page and mumbled, "Poor Jesus."
Oh God. So they started the guilt tripping early. As did the life-sized crucifix in the church where I grew up, with all 5 wounds bleeding. That was gross. Really gross and completely lifelike and meant to be. Like life-sized crucified Jesus, blood dripping down the face, blood dripping from the final wound from the lance, blood dripping from the hands and feet, and all flesh colored and all of that, and just dead guy on it. Okay, the tongue wasn't out. That was me. But everything else, dead guy on a stick, absolutely dead, and having suffered. And all day today, ever since, one family member said, "Happy Good Friday," in the family text chain that's supposed to be about everyone's general health and well-being. Yeah, Angie, I completely agree. She's got the vomit emoji in there. Yeah, it's disgusting. I remember looking at that every Sunday as a small child and just thinking, that's my fault. That's partially my fault. It's everyone's fault.
I'm going to take a quick sidestep into
Please
the
do.
Bells story, and then I want you to talk about the interesting chat.
Okay.
So, as most of y'all live in the chat at this moment, and probably anybody who'd watch this at any point in the future at this point in the video know, we live right down the road. And when I say right down the road, I mean there's motherfuckers who can punt further. We live right down the road from a church.
Mm-hmm.
That's hardly surprising given where we live, and I'm not going to narrow it down any further than that. But the church has chimes. The chimes play songs at the top of the hour.
Hymns. 4 minutes late.
No.
Sorry, it bugs me.
I know.
Please continue. I apologize for interrupting.
They have, within the last couple of weeks, so, liturgically appropriate, but about halfway through the season of Lent, they started playing more regularly than any other song in the repertoire at the top of the hour or within a few minutes thereof. An old Protestant favorite called "Were You There?"
Were you there?
Now I'm just going to break.
I know this one.
I'm just going to break for 1 second to allow everybody to cackle and get the Ken Ham jokes out of their system.
Were you there? I didn't know. That was terrible. I can't do a New Zealand accent. I'm sorry. I actually know that one. Normally, I don't know them. That's the one saving grace of where we live, and me being raised Catholic is the
Mhm.
Protestant hymns are different. So most of the time I don't know them unless it's like a Christmas carol, and they get stuck in my head for 2 days.
For anybody who doesn't know, Were You There is a very long song. In fairness, the church only plays it through twice. But Were You There opens the first verse anyway. It changes as it goes on. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? With each subsequent verse, it changes. Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there when they blah, 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 blah? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? It goes on and on and on. And it's a Lenten hymn. It does not include the resurrection. But it goes on and on. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they, and it goes through, the wounds and the scourging and the unpleasantness and the bad stuff and, almost everything short of fecal leakage.
I mean, did they do the carrying of the cross down to Golgotha?
No, they don't go back that far.
They don't go back. Okay.
But it's just about like the execution itself and how bad it was, than him getting dumped in a hole due to the grace of Joseph of Arimathea.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of each verse, it wraps up, and the main thrust of the whole song is, well, you may not have been, but I was. Well, how can you have been there? It was 2,000 motherfucking years ago. Well, I was there because he suffered on my behalf. So at least at one level, I did the nailing.
Oh, fuck.
And not in a fun way.
No.
So anyway, this song
Fun nailing?
has been playing a couple of times a day, most days, for the last few weeks. It may or may not have had anything to do with my desire to do this stream on this particular day.
I will say that periodically I've heard you shout very randomly, pick a new song.
This is true.
Yeah. And luckily,
and
I
yes,
hadn't caught on.
Via Dolorosa is about the walk. Yes.
That thank you, Angie.
Laborious and labored little canticle to misery and guilt that is Via Dolorosa.
If you spelled it wrong, Angie, we'll look it up later. Don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. I didn't take Spanish. I took French, so my spelling sucks in Spanish. So I can't be. I like that Angie also said if you're happy and you know, it's the opposite of if you're happy and you know it.
Yeah,
right? It really is. And everyone else, like there have been a lot of brilliant comments,
and you know it.
But yeah, if you've been made to feel like shit for this your entire life, even though you had nothing to do with it, weren't born at the time, weren't born until much, like literally thousands of years later. Anyway, yeah. So
the Lent in general, Holy Week in particular, and Good Friday
Holy Week is exhausting.
Especially is one of those things that make me reconsider a point that I usually hold to in the whole atheist versus theist discourse, which corner of I particularly stick to Christianity, and within that, largely to Protestantism, because anything else I don't greatly too much know about, and beyond that, I don't greatly care.
I'm after the Catholics myself.
There's enough misery being inflicted upon people in the name of the little bit of shit I know about to be too greatly arsed about Hinduism. I know there's bad shit being done in the name of any religion ever that can ever be dreamt of, but I cannot be all things to all men, and life is short.
Yeah. I want to say a little thing.
Of course.
I don't know. I just need to phrase it very carefully.
Okay.
Oh, fuck, we froze again.
Okay, fine.
God damn it. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do want to say that while there is a lot to dissect and talk about in the Old Testament, we do not tolerate anti-Semitism on either of our channels. There is a rise of that going on in the world right now, and we won't be a part of it. So just throwing that out there. You don't have to agree with Judaism as a religion, but we're not coming after any people. Just to be very clear about that. And I needed to say it. Okay, thank you. Please go on.
Okay. So, this season, this week, this day in particular, as celebrated, are things that make me reconsider, as I said, one of my main approaches to the whole theist versus atheist conflict. There is a movement within certain more virulent, more reactionary rooms of the atheist house that likes to characterize any and all forms of religious education, no matter what the age of the educator, no matter what age of the educatee, as abuse.
Mm-hmm.
I myself do not necessarily believe that to be the case. I was educated regarding multiple religions beginning at a very young age. I know more about Judaism than could ever conceivably matter in my life. The same for many other religions, and the examples are too numerous to be worth bothering going into at this moment.
Well, me too.
But
and yeah, I mean,
yeah, I'm not pretending to speak for you in this moment.
No,
I'm speaking
I know.
solely on behalf of myself.
Apologies, I was just throwing it out there. But yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
In this case, this season as celebrated and this holiday as taught, I reconsider. Because if you have a child so young that they can only generally walk unassisted and have not quite yet figured out how to properly wipe their own ass, and yet that child is sitting in the middle of the floor in front of a picture of a dying person, said picture being larger than said child's face. And their reaction, the child's reaction, is guilt for having done the bad stuff that meant that that man pictured had to go through such awful suffering and then die. That is psychological abuse.
Mm-hmm.
That is unconscionable. That is how you create neurosis at the absolute very least. Out of that, you're going to get a guilt complex. That's if you're lucky and the child is resilient.
Agreed. And there are real world consequences to that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, I apologize for myself all the time because I was raised to essentially feel guilty about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And like everything that I did was somehow wrong and my fault. To this day, like my boss had a private conversation with me about how I had to stop saying I'm sorry to other people where I work, because he said it's just a fact. If people hear you say you're sorry enough, they're going to start to think you're incompetent. They're going to start to think you can't do your job. So you have to stop doing this. And this is a lifelong habit. And I don't just say it for things that I feel responsible for. I also say it for things like sometimes, you know, like you'll tell me that like your shoulder hurts. And I say, "Oh, I'm sorry." And it's not because I made your shoulder hurt. I'm sorry that your shoulder is hurting you. That's what I mean by that. But my boss is right. Like, you say that in the wrong setting enough times, and people are going to start to go, "Wow, does this bitch even know what she's doing?" And those are the real world consequences I mean. So when you're made to feel like everything, including Jesus suffering on the fucking cross, because Romans had a very specific deterrent way that was incredibly barbaric of executing thieves and traitors, specifically people who were the greatest threat to Roman society as they saw it. Too bad they didn't catch Nero on that one, but okay, whatever. But yeah, that was considered a deterrent for crime, and they crucified lots and lots of people. There's this one guy that a couple of somebody wrote about. We're not even sure who. We're not even sure if he really existed. We know there was definitely a messianic and, you know, Jews trying to free themselves out from under the boot of Roman law at the time. And that's absolutely fair. That's kind of just how societies work and how insurgencies work. But it was horrifically barbaric. And yet almost everyone in the chat right now was at some point made to feel personally responsible for this. And that's ridiculous and obscene. It's absolutely obscene. And it is abuse. I agree. Were you finished, or did I just tromp all over what you were saying?
It's okay. It's probably about time to move on anyway.
No.
Another point that I wanted to hit on is something that Julie mentioned earlier, and that I said we'd circle back to, and then I promptly proceeded to go on a rampage for a while. Not an unjustified one, I think. But people say and feel and do some weird shit in the name of religion. Somebody in the chat earlier, and I'm sorry, I did not clock who it was.
Hey, Trusty Ape.
Mention Purple. Hey,
holy shit! Sorry, missed you there for a second. Okay, go ahead.
Do weird fucking shit. I'm not going to say because of, but in the name of religion.
Yup.
And the one example is extreme, but it's one somebody brought up in chat while we were talking about torture porn. And it's those weird ass reenactments of the crucifixion that people to this day, there's probably somebody hanging up there right as we speak.
Oh, in the Philippines, they do it annually.
Yes. To this day, annually.
And literally, by the way, y'all, if you don't know about this, they actually are crucified. They don't die, but yes. I'm sorry. I just in case anyone didn't know. Please continue.
Intentionally, anyway, they don't die. But yes, they did.
Yes.
That's is what I was leading into. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But that is an extreme example, admittedly. I've never been one to shy away from extreme examples, and you'll pretty much know that about me by now. But there are also frustratingly banal examples. People will twist themselves and their emotions into some absolutely fucking Gordian knots over this holiday. Not so much others. There's not a lot of wackadoo Pentecost junkies out there. But Good Friday for Christians brings out the absolute looniest and most auto-flagellationist in people.
Mm-hmm.
And just lest you think I'm exaggerating for emphasis in this particular case, because I have on occasion been known to do that, we have here with us an, shall we say, object lesson, a very specific example with no names involved. We're not calling anybody out by name.
No, we are not, because I still want my family to talk to me.
We are gonna float a balloon up the air column, just sort of give an example of the stupid ass shit Christians say around this particular holiday specifically.
Yep.
For example, Julie's experience today.
Okay, so my family, and again, I'm not naming any of them, but my family and extended family has a family text chain where we are supposed to do things like, say, hey, someone, X is in the hospital, or hey, this is happening with this person, or hey, this person got a new job. Yay, congratulate them. It's that kind of stuff. And normally it's fairly positive. It was started when my mom went into congestive heart failure last summer, but it's turned into kind of like this nice thing where we all just keep everybody appraised of how everyone is doing. So today at 9:18 a.m., the very first text was, Happy Good Friday! 3 exclamation points. And yes, Purple, to answer your question, I don't know why the fuck we call it Good Friday. I mean, I do, because, if Jesus, if the Trinity, if God hadn't sacrificed himself to make up for a mistake in the Garden of Eden that he must have seen coming, because of the omnipotent part, then salvation isn't possible or whatever. So maybe it's happy. What I wanted to reply to that and actually typed out but did not send, because again, I'm and hi Ox, I'm a little bit of a coward and I don't want my family to stop talking to me. And also I told y'all, I think, about the things that I've gotten some upsetting letters and things from concerned people worried about my immortal soul in my family recently, and I just can't with that. That's a whole other thing. But anyway, so happy Good Friday. And so what I wanted to text back was, I don't really think celebrating the barbaric way in which Romans punished thieves and traitors in a very slow, agonizing death is something to be happy about. But if you want to do that, I guess that's your thing, but I didn't send that. I didn't mean to send anything, but what I accidentally did is when I tried to sweep up on my phone out of the text, it took it and sent it as SEE, which is like C, as though I was about to say something, but then I didn't. And I was like, and I turned to Junk Shop and I was like, what should I do? What should I do? And they very wisely said, do nothing. They'll just assume it was a mistake or that you meant something different. And I was like, okay, that works. Then people felt the need to start sharing their notions of what they were thinking about today. So one person said,
Brace yourselves, y'all. This gets real stupid, real fast, and also kind of gross in a lot of ways.
It really does, and I apologize in advance. So one person said, I was thinking as I drove to work how good I have it, even with all my issues and challenges. All those years ago when Jesus was facing all of his torture and horrifying death on the cross, he didn't even have aspirin or ibuprofen! Exclamation point. As a matter of fact, they used vinegar back then for pain, and he declined that when he was offered it while hanging on the cross. I don't think that's true because I've read the Bible, but I don't know, whatever.
It's
anyway.
in one gospel. It's a reference to a very specific psalm that particular gospel writer was enamored of.
Okay.
We'll deal with that when we get to the New Testament on Improv Bible Study. It's not worth wallowing in here.
And we won't right now, but I will say to this person, at least she's read the fucking book.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah, it is fair.
Okay. Pulled pork is godly, Ox. You know what? If there's a god on this earth, it's Dionysus, and he wants you to be happy.
That's right. Okay, so no vinegar. Okay, so it's good. It's a so good, sobering thought that puts my life suffering in perspective. So little payment for so great a debt! Exclamation point, cross emoji. And then
I warned you about the stupid.
Someone else said, indeed. Someone else said, amen. And then someone else came in with, but he had angels and the other two of the Trinity, plus the knowledge he and the good thief would. Sorry, there's a lot of misspellings here, and I'm trying to read through them because I don't want to be mean. We're going home. Okay. What was actually written was, but he had angels and other two of the Trinity, plus the knowledge he and the good theft were going home. But look, don't, there's no reason to be a dick, okay? Not everybody is an English major. It's just, it bothered me. This person, by the way, can do trig in their head, but can't figure out that God's not real. Okay, so this other person, still his capital H, his suffering on the cross was excruciating. Other person.
Sorry.
I'm done. I'm done.
No, it's fine. I just, that particular text I wanted to touch on.
Yes, please do it.
Still, his suffering on the cross was excruciating. Well, definitionally, motherfucker, all excruciating means is to feel the pain of crucifixion. Of course, being crucified feels like being crucified. What did you expect it to feel like? 3 hours in a bouncy house? A chainsaw murder? What did you you don't expect 3 hours in a bouncy house to feel like 3 hours in the bumper cars. Of course, being crucified feels like being crucified. You keep using that word. I do not think it means. What do you think it means?
Exactly. And so it's just been, and it's been going on all day. They're still going, like
all day.
Every time I hear my phone ding.
Since the day started, this ridiculousness has continued to metastasize. It's like it's like some kind of bacterial colony of self-righteousness and guilt.
And the person who pointed out the angels and the Trinity and the divine God-man Jesus is an elder in our family. And so, like, yeah, it sucked, I'm sure. But as Matt Dillahunty pointed out, if God-man Jesus is real and is therefore a being who has always existed and will always exist, he had one bad weekend. One shitty, horribly painful weekend as an actual human being. And 33 years as a person up until that. And that was it. So what the fuck? Like, it doesn't seem like a lot when you're talking about that kind of time. And yeah, right? I mean, Ox, excellent point. I'm not here to judge kinks. How do we know Jesus wasn't the first dude into hanging himself on hooks? I don't know. I mean,
Well,
sun
and
ceremonies are sacred in some
yeah,
cultures.
exactly.
Where I live.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
It's like, not to be too much of a dick about
No,
it, but
no, no. I don't want to denigrate that. I mean, like, why stomp on the like? I
and
like to
we
punch up.
know I'm sorry, like, since we've breached that particular dam, we know that sun ceremonies work because the right amount of endorphins and the various other chemicals in your brain that can be triggered
Yeah.
through the physical mechanism of sun ceremonies
Mhm.
will, I mean, can, but 90% of the time will
Mhm.
induce an ecstatic state.
Absolutely.
That's why people still do them today.
Yeah. I actually
You can sign up and do one at fucking Burning Man if you're that desperate. Now, it doesn't have anywhere near the history, authenticity, or safety protocols of one done on tribal lands for valid reasons.
Yeah.
But you can fucking do it.
Actually, a
Sorry,
disclaimer
like
about
it seemed incumbent upon me.
Me too. And I just want to say, safety disclaimer, FYI, if you participate in a sun ceremony in the United States, you need to make sure that the hooks are being properly sterilized, because we did have a problem with some blood diseases getting transferred from person to person at one point, including HIV. So just throwing that out there, like, just, if you're going to do this, it's your business. I don't care. It's your body. Do what you want, but just be careful. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you saw me sit for a 3 hour for a tattoo, right? On last Saturday, I got a new tattoo, you guys. I'd love to show it to you, but apparently our camera's frozen on me looking quizzical, and Junk Shop being very kind and looking at me intently, which is just beautiful. But I got a flower, a clematis flower that Junk Shop has been growing for years, and love it. And I just wanted something that was kind of emblematic of like the home we've built together, and something. It's a really tough flower. This thing has survived 3 moves and all of the crazy weather shit, and
multiple ice storms.
It's still coming back. It's still coming back every year and making these gorgeous purple blossoms, and it's awesome. And so I'm working with this tattoo artist who happens to be non-binary, and they're amazing, and it was just so much fun. But also, yeah, by the end of it, who had to drive me there and drive me home was your favorite Tweety atheist, because I was so fucking high on endorphins that I was not safe to drive. I had not had any alcohol because the shop that I go to is very particular. They will not tattoo you if you are not sober. They will not tattoo you if they detect alcohol or pills or anything. They won't do it. And I love that about them. And also I love that their health inspection rating is all. I've been going there since I was 18 years old, you guys. I'm 44. I only have 8 tattoos, so it's not like I'm there all the time. But every time I'm there, I check their health department rating. I've never seen it below a 98, and 100 is the highest you can get. Most of the time, it's at a 99. And having worked in restaurants, health department officials will find at least 1 point to dock. I have never seen a perfect 100 health department score. So these people are amazing. I've watched them. I've watched their piercers pierce people and drop a needle, and they pick it up, bend it in front of them so it's no longer useful, deposit it in the sharps to be thrown out safety box, take off their gloves, throw them away, wash their hands for as long as it takes you to sing the alphabet song twice in your head, dry their hands on paper towels, throw those away without touching the trash can because it's open, apply new gloves, get a new needle, take it out of its packaging, and then they will go and do the piercing. I've seen that happen. So it's a good place. But, and that's Underground Art in Memphis. Shout out. Yeah. What? I'm sorry. Everybody knows where. All right, I'll stop it. Anyway, point is, I just want to say, like, yeah, these things, endorphins are a real thing. and they hit you. Okay, back to you.
Quite frankly, I have no idea where I was, to be honest. But real quick, Epileptic Skeptic, a good friend of the channel. If I don't know if the camera will let me pull this up, given that the feed is frozen, but yes, it will. Okay.
Oh, nice.
You can not only buy communion wafers on Amazon, you can buy them from legitimate, like, church supply houses.
Oh my God.
They don't require any kind of, I'm just saying, you haven't, Epileptic Skeptic, you have not been with the channel long enough to remember, but when I hit a pretty early milestone in the channel's growth, I did a various brands of communion wafer testing.
Oh, it was fun.
Like a taste test to commemorate a certain number of subscribers. Some of them taste like absolute ass. Some of them are surprisingly delicious little snacks.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Never
it is yeah, it's a thing. Get you some crackers. You know, they're probably cheaper than saltines at this point. Nabisco's going to charge you about 3 arms and your firstborn for a sleeve of saltines.
Hello, inflation. Nevermore is correct. They do kind of taste like cardboard.
They
it's a weird
do.
thing. But you can dip them in queso, and that's amazing if you can eat cheese.
You can.
They
also work like the big round ones that the
Mhm.
Catholics like.
Yeah.
They dip salsa like you wouldn't believe, because they stiff as shit until they go into your mouth, and then they just kind of
Yeah, they just kind of melt. Because originally
that could be taken out of context. We're gonna move on.
Oh, Mr. Shadow Kitty said same
Some taste like
lots
of wine.
I was gonna
That
explain.
was one salty bitch.
I was gonna explain why that is, why they melt the way that they do, but I don't have to. It's because guys, get your minds out of the gutter for 2 seconds, okay? It's because in the past people were taught not to chew it, because somehow chewing the body of Christ. I mean, they didn't mind the like reference to direct cannibalism, which is fucking weird and insane. Anyway, but
it's good to eat him. You're just not allowed to enjoy.
You're not allowed to
close
enjoy
your eyes and
chew
think of England.
Yeah, essentially. So you're supposed to like just kind of let it dissolve on your tongue. But as Nevermore put out reference, they're very dry and very much like cardboard. So you got to get that sip of wine to get it to start doing that. So if you're not okay with drinking from a communal cup during
either
a
that or you
pandemic,
already got to be drooling and ready.
Oh my God. Okay.
This is the strain that's going to get my channel taken down. Not the eating crackers, not the horrible laws of the Old Testament. It's going to be us waxing poetic about torture porn and eating Jesus's stiffness.
Wow, God. Well, and I do want to say one thing.
Banging in the nails.
I want if you guys don't know the song Banging in the Nails, check it out. It's amazing.
The Tiger Lilies.
The Tiger Lilies, yeah, they're an amazing band, and you should check them out.
With all the reverence for God that he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
And you know me and know that tone and that phrasing.
You'll take them at their word, seriously. They turned me on to the Tiger Lilies, and I was like, this is the weirdest, most amazing shit I've ever seen. I thought I was blasphemous. I didn't even know. Oh yeah, Nevermore. Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah, you took communion once when you did your first communion. Oh God, I did it. I made the first communion sacrament when I was 8, and they dressed me like a little bride. It's so fucking creepy. I mean, at the time, I didn't think it was creepy. I just liked having a cute dress, and I thought it was fun.
Yeah, the kids don't know it's creepy, but the growed ass adults should fucking know better. Should know. God damn it.
And they wonder why. Seriously, like anyway. So moving on. Thank you, B. Moving on. But yeah, B, you're right. Stiff as shit went in your mouth. Yeah. If you don't, seriously, you got to take that sip of wine, even if drinking out of a communal cup it's really gross and no one should do that, but you need
Especially
it.
not these days.
Yeah, not these days. No, not
Sorry,
pandemics
you can wipe that cup with your little hanky all you want. It's not gonna kill no viruses.
No, and that's exactly
dumbass
what we did, because I was a Eucharistic minister as a teenager, and yeah, that's exact. And I always chose wine left because that was the shortest line. I know I've said this before, but if anyone hasn't heard this story, it's kind of funny. It was the shortest line at my particular church. I'm not going to say where that is, but and the thing is, you can't just like pour the blood of Christ after the transubstantiation miracle has been performed down the sink. So if you're a Eucharistic minister, it doesn't matter if you're 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It doesn't matter how old you are. You have to finish whatever is left in the goblet by the end of communion. So I would leave church every Sunday with a nice little buzz while my daddy drove us home. And that was fun.
Shame it's not as fun to have to deal with the leftover communion wafers.
Yeah, right? I don't know how that happened. And then there was this one time.
You got to bury them. Did y'all know that?
What? No, I didn't know that.
You have to bury them on church ground.
Like you're burying a corpse?
Because it's got to be on consecrated ground. Because it's the blood of the body of the Most High God.
Oh my God.
You ain't fucking lived till you've been walking around the church grounds in the middle of the burning ass summer, trying to find a place where there's not already something planted so that your mama can dig a hole in the dirt to put some saltless saltines in.
Your mom did that? I mean, sorry. I'm sorry for getting that specific, but yeah. No, anyway, so apparently
not that there's any personal experience of that in this house, but I am assured by persons who know that every once in a while such a thing has been done.
Well, I believe you. The alternate story is that time that the priest at my home church back in I won't name it, back in a small town in Kentucky, accidentally, see, churches buy wine in bulk.
Accidentally. I like how this story is going already. Yeah. And I'm starting to like this priest.
He was lovely. He was great.
Did he buy the first Beaujolais of the season for communion by accident instead of some Welch's or some Schlimovitz?
No, they do not buy the good shit. They don't buy any good shit.
I know that, but I just,
maybe.
I just had this sudden vision of old Padre What's-It going into the liquor store at 11:55 on a Sunday morning because he forgot to get the communion wine the night before and rolls out of there with like 3 handles of the best Beaujolais of the season, which he promptly dilutes with water and then chugs with a straw in the sacristy after the service.
Fuckers. Yeah, they did like to dilute it a little bit. That was lame.
Well, you have to, because you're not supposed to enjoy it.
No, it can't be.
It's a commemoration of the sacrifice of the Most High God, of his son, which was him. Via his right-hand person, which was the Holy Spirit, who was the one who went into the 15-year-old girl who had agreed.
God, 14 and ew, even worse.
Yeah, see, stupid.
Yeah,
and gross.
Stupid and gross. Okay, so this is funny.
Okay,
all right,
good.
So they bought it.
See, normally it's your brand to bring it down.
Yeah, you brought it down this time. What the fuck?
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so in this time. In this place, this is a pre-cell phone time, pre-big box store time for the most part. Okay.
I have no comment.
So they bought it by the jug. It was a small town, small parish.
Straight out of the jug.
They bought it many jugs at a time, but that's how they bought the wine
Well, of
for
course.
services. Okay.
Giant economy
mass.
size.
I
You
just
get a
said-
discount.
I just said services. No, Catholics don't call it services. Oh, fuck me. They call it mass. Anyway.
Of course, they don't call it services.
Yeah, that's not what it is.
Catholics don't serve anybody.
Well, yeah.
Nah.
Okay. Except for altar servers, which are what. Anyway, but not the point. Okay, so the priest had prepared, like, basically there's a big ass goblet and like a big ass host and all the little hosts, and that's the cracker, if you're wondering what I mean when I say host. But that's
Little hosts.
little hosts. There's
Hostlets.
little individual ones that are
Minion hosts.
they're baked unleavened bread circular wafers that have like a cross stamped into each side of them.
They're made by some factory in Indonesia that also manufactures packing peanuts.
Usually by
Don't think about it too much. Just put it in your
Usually-
mouth and enjoy.
they're usually made by nuns somewhere. But yeah, or Kellogg. I don't fucking know. No, I'm kidding. It's not Kellogg. It's totally nuts. Anyway, but the priest had accidentally, when he was bringing out the big goblet for the wine, filled it, before church. This is like prep time if you were working in a restaurant, and screwed the cap back on and accidentally left this big honking jar. And when I say jar of wine, I'm not talking about like middle-aged white chick jar of wine that I buy for $20 at Kroger. I'm talking like 3 times that size. Like, this is like fucking huge. It's like this. Oh, y'all can't see me. It's this big around. She's making a gesture that's about the size of her torso. This is like a cask of Amontillado. This is a lot of fucking wine. This is like a gallon jug of wine, essentially. Well, the priest set it down just behind the altar.
Sister Mary Arimathea starts licking her lips from the choir loft.
Well, he forgot to take the bit that wasn't meant to be consecrated, which is in the giant jug, to take it back off the altar, because that's the magic.
So now it's not magic wine, it's just booze.
Yes, and I love this purple. Yes,
we are here to drink your beer.
And still your rum at the point of a gun. Yeah, the Catholics did a lot of that too. But anyway, so mass starts, and the priest has forgotten that this giant gallon jug of wine is under the altar.
How do you lose a gallon of wine?
If you're celibate, your brain goes crazy. I don't know. Anyway, so, and this was a good guy. And
it's not a budgeting issue. Like, I mean, come on. The Catholic Church literally has more money than God. Because they have some and he doesn't exist, so he has none at all.
That is very true. However, okay, so after mass is over, this is, by the way, this is a Saturday evening mass.
Waste of a perfectly good Saturday night, if you ask me.
Well, it is, but it means you don't have to get up at the crack of dawn Sunday morning and be in church. That's the nice bit. So
this is
if my parents,
literal lesser of two evils.
Yeah, it really is. Like, anytime my parents consented to us going to, hey, we're gonna do the 5 o'clock Saturday night mass because we have X going on Sunday, we were like, yes, this is amazing. I can watch cartoons or whatever. It's fine. So it was always fun. So anyway, it's an evening mass, and we go, and then Father so and so, I'm not going to say his name, he's a very nice man, and he was one of the good ones. I know they're rare and far between, but he wasn't hurting anybody. Anyway, I felt the need to say that. Okay, so he was a nice guy, but he realized what he'd done when he'd performed the magic miracle of transubstantiation. It hit the wine that he'd forgotten under the altar, as well as the wine that was on the thing. And you can't, apparently you can't save it.
Blessings.
Yeah. Apparently you can't save it till the next week.
Well, of course not. God's grace is not eternal. It must be eternally renewed through our supplication.
Do miracles go bad after a week? I don't know. I was so confused. But my
You
dad,
got to be in an active state of grace for the love of God to flow through you.
yeah. So basically, mass ends. Mom takes us kids home because the priest has suddenly asked a few of the men in the congregation, my father included, and another dear family friend, and several of the dudes. He was like, hey, Mr. XXX and X, can you all stay? I have a problem. And they were like, yeah, Father, what can we do? What can we do for you? And he's like, and he brings out the gallon jug of wine.
You can grab a mug.
Yeah, pretty much. And he sets it on top of the altar and he said, I forgot to put it away. And we have to drink it because it's the blood of Christ. And I don't know what to do. Again, he was a young priest. I don't know why he couldn't have saved it until the next day, Sunday, but I don't know. It's magic. It makes no sense. And also, it's not real. So
6:45 on a Saturday night. There's a bunch of drunk 50-year-old white dudes rocking around the Christmas tree going, oh God, I have been angels.
I was not there, but yes, essentially that is the story I was told, is that my dad and all of his buddies and the priest had to drink this wine that night, and they did, and it is the one time, because my dad's not a drinker. It's the one time that my father ever had to call my mother and say, I need you to come pick me up. I am not safe to drive.
I have had too much blood of Christ. I'm too heavily sanctified for the asphalt to bear me.
And it's the only time my religion ever seemed really cool. I gotta say. Which is messed up. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Like epileptic skeptic. I don't know. I'm sorry I said man, I don't know. But can't they just bless some type of word? I don't fucking know. It's weird.
And Mr. Shadow Kitty just a minute ago said at the Methodist church I attended, it was Welch's grape juice and squashed Wonder Bread.
Ew, that's horrible. I'm so sorry.
Real quick.
That's your territory.
Because we're going to be wrapping up here before too terribly long, because we've already been going well over an hour at this point.
Oh shit!
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
It does.
I was, some of y'all know, some of y'all have forgotten, and some of y'all never knew to begin with. But I myself was raised United Methodist. I'm not going to go into the various Methodist differences right now, because that's not the point of the stream. But in Southern American Southern United States incarnations of United Methodism at that particular time, it was a weird time. It was sort of after the De Caloris movement had peaked in the Catholic Church and was starting to infest other denominations.
De Caloris.
It hit the UMC hard in the early 90s. So there was this weird sort of push and pull with the Roman Catholic Church, sort of ceremonies and prayers and songs and mindset within United Methodism. It was a very much a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they do some cool shit, but also they're stodgy old fuckers and they're wrong about everything.
Yeah. Papists.
So that, well, not that bad.
Thank you.
So the version of Holy Communion I myself personally was raised with consisted of literal, honest to God, communion wafers. Like the sort of tacky, and I mean that literally, like tacky to the touch. Like tacky, plasticky, textured, styrofoam reminiscent wafers about the size of a 50-cent piece, and Welch's grape juice.
I've heard of this
It was like
abomination.
the worst of both worlds. Like, not real bread, not real wine, but something vaguely reminiscent of something generously analogous to either. Do this in remembrance of me. I think we probably about run our course on
I'm
this
done.
stream.
I am so done.
But to sort of tie it back to the original theme and the thumbnail,
Okay.
which I was quite proud of.
I thought it was an amazing thumbnail.
If you haven't seen Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth, it's worth the watch, if for no other reason than if you go in knowing the trivia. That the scene in the church was indeed shot in a church. But not officially. Because no church they could find would grant them the license to film a Hellraiser sequel on the altar. So they broke in the middle of the night and filmed anyway.
Oh, that's cool. I did not know that. That is awesome.
Now, having said that, they didn't actually blow up a stained glass window. That was special and or visual effects. But just the little bit of extra illicitness there is just, it's worth the naughty tingle in the brain.
Yeah, in the brain.
Yeah, exactly.
That's, no other organ, just the brain.
That's where I felt it too.
Yeah.
So anyway, to tie it all back in, I guess it sort of goes back to the old poem, doesn't it? They fuck you up, your mom and dad. But there's something about Christianity that has evolved over a couple of millennia to be the grisly, sociopathic death cult it has become. A lot of Christians love to stand up and say, but not all Christians, when folks like, I'm not going to name any names, but some of the more notorious hate preachers cross the national radar. But if you know anything about said blood cult, it's like, no, it's not that these idiots are some kind of horrid aberration deviating from the faith.
Right.
These people are its perfection. These are its final form.
Yeah.
People drenched in metaphorical and drooling to be drenched in literal blood of themselves, of the Messiah, and of the infidel or the people they just don't fucking like too good. It's how we got the Crusades.
It's how we have people right now advocating for capital punishment for being queer.
Exactly. It took us 1,000 years, but we're back where we were at the Crusades. Holy war against the infidel or the folks we just don't like too much. And you can't buy that kind of borderline psychotic fanaticism. All you can do is nurture it. So I guess the real takeaway for me that I would like folks to carry out from this stream. Really, I guess it's to do for the poor, traumatized, and they are traumatized, young people, whatever that means, given your relative age, who cross your path. What was done for a lot of us, which is show them by example and by just fucking being nice that you can indeed be good without God.
Can I get an amen?
Sorry, there was for a moment a legit pause while I waited to hear an amen after that. This shit takes, y'all. I'm closer to 40 than 30, and there was a beat there where they fuck you up.
Yep.
Get out there and do good stuff. Have fun. It's Good Friday, but you know what? It's 7:22 on a Friday night. If you got shit to do in the morning, go have one more drink and then get your ass to bed. If you ain't got shit to do in the morning, why the hell are you still hanging out with us? Go grab a drink, grab a booty, grab
a consenting booty. Just saying.
Sorry, of course. I thought that kind of went without saying if you got this deep into this stream.
It should.
Grab somebody you've already discussed grabbing with. Grab a CD, grab a book, just get the fuck out of here.
Enjoy
go the hell
yourselves.
home. You ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here. I mean, you could stay here, but ain't nobody going to be around.
Hey, we love you guys.
We love y'all. Be safe. Stand against hate. And
what? Oh, you can't find truth in wine, but you might find it in reason. It's been a minute.
Love from Memphis, y'all.
Love you.
Oh, we got to try this again more often.
Yeah, we really do.
We need practice.
In progress.